have a very good day today. Okay, so I will share with you the slide that I have prepared for this lecture. So today I will give you a brief on Malaysia economics and also Malaysia relations to ASEAN. And then after that, we will go to the topics that have given from Prof. Imamuddin to me. So the topic is about the strategies and challenge to promoting Asian countries. Okay, so I'll share with you the screen. Hopefully you can see my screen. Okay, I try to make it as a slideshow. Okay, challenges and strategies to promoting ASEAN countries' economy. So we start with the, okay, before we start the lecture, I would like to introduce myself. Okay, I'm Dr. Zalina Zainal, a senior lecturer from the faculty. We are not youth faculty. We use School of Economics, Finance and Banking, University Utara Malaysia. So I already have almost 22 years experience in teaching and learning at university level. Okay. Okay, so this lecture aims to introduce to you to Malaysian economy, and then we will look the how Malaysians relationships with ASEAN, and then after that to the topic challenges and the strategies to promoting ASEAN countries' economy. Okay, now look at Malaysians, introduction to Malaysian economy. I have to move this. Okay, Malaysia covers an area of 330 square kilometer squares. It makes of 13 states. Kita ada 13 negeri. Okay, 13 states. Johor, Kedah, Kelantan, Melaka, Negeri Sembilan. And of course, Kuala Lumpur, I think you know already, our federal territories, which is Kuala Lumpur, Labuan, Putrajaya. And we also consist Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, Malaysia is a multi-ethnic country, similar to Indonesia, I think. So the groups consist Malays, like me, Chinese, Indian, and in Peninsular Malaysia we have the Kadazan Dusun, Bajau, and Iban. Okay, the government of Malaysia is led by the Prime Minister. Okay, we have the Prime Minister. We don't have presidents like Indonesia. Okay, we also constitutional monarchy. We still have a constitutional monarchy, which is the royal families that goes to every state. Okay, for example, Royal of Kedah. Okay. Raja di Negeri Kedah, Royal of Kedah. And we employ also the parliamentary system. Okay, this is a map of Malaysia. I think you're really familiar with this. Okay, because we are very near. Okay. This is a basic statistics of Malaysia. Okay, I just focus on 2020 because of the pandemic COVID-19. You can see how it is happens and how it's affected Malaysia. Okay, so in 2020, look at the real GDP growth. So what happens to our country? We recorded contracted or decline in Malaysia real GDP, 5.6%, and this is the lowest after Asian financial crisis 1997-1998. So this is declining due to the decline in all economic sector. I think it's similar situations for Indonesia, except for manufacturing. Service sector, for example, such as tourism, tourism-related industry, food and beverage, accommodations was a major contributor to economic activity decline. So this is what happens to our country. I think it is quite similar to the effects of COVID-19 to Indonesia. So when the economics goes down, decline, so it is also happens to inflation rate. So the inflation rates was low in 2020. It is because the low demand and supply, which is follow the similar trend as declining in economic activity. So when economic activities goes down, so inflation rate also very low. Okay, at these times. So we slowly recovery. The recovery process is quite slow, but it's still increase. Now into 2021, you can look at the real GDP of Malaysia. Now is recorded positive growth rates. Okay. Okay. The cross domestic products. I would like you to look at the Malaysian GDP, CPI, and unemployment rate 1990 to 2021. Okay, look at the here, okay, and here. So this is the pandemic COVID-19, and this is decline trends because of the Asian financial crisis. Okay. So the GDP fell as a result of two major shocks. You can see this. Okay, one, the first one, it is because of the Asian financial crisis in 1997. Okay, so the second is because of the pandemic. Okay, this one is because of the pandemic. Okay, so GDP and unemployment rate followed similar patterns to what happens to the world economic conditions. Okay, so the GDP of economics, the world decline, that is also happens to Malaysia case. Okay, in terms of the GDP components for Malaysia, you can see that consumption, especially for the consumptions and investment. Okay, so in terms of the GDP components, investment is the most volatile. Okay, you can see the green line, this like the colors of olive. Okay, okay, this is the colors of olive. Okay, this is the investment. So it is quite volatile compared to the consumptions. Strong local demand is the factor that support the strong fundamental of the economy. So consumption is a strong sector. So because of this, we can see that it helps the GDP to maintain. Two important crises were the Asian financial crisis and public health crisis. So these two crises had a huge impact on investment and Malaysia's GDP. Okay, this is what happens to Malaysia. I think it is quite similar to the trends of consumption and investment in Indonesia, almost around the world. Okay, this is a structure of production 1970 to 2021. You can see that starting from 2010, the services sector is the main contributor to Malaysian GDP. Okay, this one. Okay, particularly transport, communications, trade, financial related services, and also the public service. Okay, so what happens to others? Look at the mining. Okay, it's quite similar to the olive color, the mining. Okay, so what happens to mining? Manufacturing comes next. So with mining, mining contribution becoming increasingly little. Okay, the contribution becomes smaller and smaller. Okay, compared to others. Okay, so in terms of this diversifications of export 1990 and 2020. So what happens to the Malaysia diversifications of export? You can see that manufacturing sector contribute the most. Okay, so Malaysia export diversification is dominated by the manufacturing sector, followed by the oil and gas business. Okay, oil and gas industries. Okay, other than that, forestry, you can see also rubber, palm oil, tin, and others. So this is the oil and gas. Okay, I think okay, you can see the difference between 1990 to 2020. So how manufactured sector grow, okay, in 20-30 years, okay. Okay, it grows from 58% to 86% in 2020. So it becomes larger. Okay, this one is a Malaysia and ASEAN. I start to brief to you about ASEAN. Okay, so Association of our Southeast Asian Nations. So the slogans or the is the community of opportunities for all. Okay, Malaysia has been a member of ASEAN since its inception. Okay, for the since its establishments of ASEAN. Okay, Malaysia starts to be the members of ASEAN. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, was established on 8 August 1967 in Bangkok, Thailand, with the signing of the ASEAN declarations, which is, we call it as a Bangkok declarations. Okay, so all the prime minister of or presidents for 5 countries, they agreed to the established ASEAN. Okay, 5 founding fathers, okay, of ASEAN, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. Today is made up of 10 member states, including the 5 founders as well as the other 5. So now we have extra or additional countries of ASEAN. Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, and also Cambodia. So what are the ASEAN aims? Okay, amongst the Asian aims, accelerate the economic growth, social progress, and cultural development in the region through joint endeavors in the spirit of promote regional peace and stability. Okay, promote active collaborations and mutual assistance, provide assistance to each other from one country to another countries. Now you can see that we have a mutual agreement on so many things. For example, we in ASEAN, we also have agreements on tariff. Okay, tariff for trade. We also have agreement for mutual agreement for the exchange educations, and also the mutual agreements on the business. Okay, collaborate more effectively to encourage further growth, maintain close and beneficial cooperations with existing international and regional organizations. So we have so many regional organizations right now. One of the organization that related to education is AUN. Okay, AUN. Okay, so Malaysia has been an active member and remain a key regional player in Southeast Asia. Has been successful in promoting and maintaining peace in the region. So one of the we can divided Malaysian contribution into three different area. One is the political or security. For example, declarations of Zofan, Zone of Peace, Freedom and Neutrality, which is Malaysia declared that the ASEAN member state had agreed to establish the zone Zofan based on the ASEAN Foreign Ministry meeting held in Malaysia, held in Kuala Lumpur on 27th of November 1971. The objective is to acknowledge the right of every state, large or small, to lead its national existence free from outside interference and its internal affair. Okay. Okay, so it becomes free and neutral, means that ASEAN countries, we do not focus or rely on others country, okay, in terms of the security and so on. Okay. Okay, ASEAN expansion, Malaysia was eager to allow the three possible members countries, sorry for the typo error, to the ASEAN ministerial meeting in 1997, led by Datuk Sri Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. The three additional ASEAN members will bring the overall populations of ASEAN to 600 million people, which would be beneficial to ASEAN, particularly in terms of regional market and economic development. So Dr. Mahathir Mohamad believed that with the extra members, we can increase the populations of ASEAN, and then at the same time we can increase the potential very huge market for the ASEAN's product. Okay, Malaysia also advocates economic dialogue for East Asia. The idea of establishing the East Asia Economic Group, EAEG, in 1990. So it is a forum established to discuss and conduct dialogue about economic issue, which comprises ASEAN members as well as three other countries in Asia region, okay, ASEAN region, which are China, Japan, and South Korea. The objective of EAEG are to boost economic cooperations. For example, let's say to cooperations with China and Japan, and also South Korea, to promote and defend free trade, accelerate economic development, economic growth, introduce open regionalisms, and contribute to multilateral trading systems. So when we have the cooperations with very big countries such as Japan, we know that Japan is one of the members of G8. Okay, G8. Japan is one of the member of G8. So the innovations or the powers of Japan in terms of the technology, we can use that, we can utilize that in order to help us, means that the Asian region also to boost or also to get the benefits from the innovations. Okay. Other than that, we also have one more important dialogue, which is ASEAN Economic Community. Okay, embodies the region ultimate goal of economic integrations. So ASEAN is designed as a single market and product base, as well as a highly competitive area with equitable economic development and full integration into the global economy. So we hope AAEC can be the platforms for Asian countries to promote their product as a single product, okay, to another regions of the world. Okay, that is the idea of AEC. Okay. The AEC Blueprint 2015 was approved in 2007, has a comprehensive master plan for the AEC's creation in 2015. So to outline the strategies, directions for the next phase of ASEAN economic integration ambitions, a new AEC Blueprint 2025 was developed. Now it's already, it is already there. Okay. Becoming is to strengthen economic integration and create a more integrated economic community. So the idea is this four. Okay, one is to promote single market and production base. For example, let's say we are in Malaysia, and Malaysia and Indonesia, they produce quite similar agriculture product. For example, let's say oil palm. Okay, oil palm. So instead of we compete each other in terms of the price, when we assume that it is a single market, means that we try to collaborate each other, Malaysia and Indonesia. We try to collaborate each other and then try to set or figure out the single price of oil palm. Okay, and market this product to another regions of the world. That is the idea. Okay, macam tu lah idea dia lebih kurang lah. Okay, the single markets of product means that we not compete each other. Okay, but we try to make it or we try to discuss, collaborate, and try to figure out how come we can collaborate and come up with the, for example, let's say the single price for oil palm. Okay, competitive economic region. We try to promote a positive competitive market, not confront each other. Equitable economic development. Okay, we try to make sure that all members of ASEAN can get the equitable balance in terms of the economic development. Equitable. Okay. Fully integrated region in the global economy. Okay, fully integrated regions mean that we try to become as good as EU, for example. How EU can come up with the idea that they are free, okay, in terms of the mobilizations of product and mobilizations of people. Okay. Okay, challenge and strategies to promoting ASEAN. Okay. One is the enlargement increases the degree and complexity of diversities in ASEAN, which as sorry, I would like to see all my slides. Okay. We are here. The diversity, Okay, I would like to elaborate on this. If you, for your informations, AEC, the AEC has their characteristics, has their own characteristic. The characteristics of AEC have 5. Okay, one, a highly integrated and cohesive economy. Okay, is try to when we establish AEC, we try to make sure that ASEAN economics, it is highly integrated and very cohesive economy. A competitive, innovative, and dynamic ASEAN. Okay, enhance connectivity and sectoral cooperations means that what the ASEAN did until now is just a collaborations more to G2G agreement. Okay, means that for example, let's say Malaysian governments, they cooperate with the Indonesian governments and also with the governments of Singapore, for example. Now, when we have AEC, we try to promote more on private cooperations, okay, and also the sectoral cooperations, not just focus on G2G agreement, okay. For example, let's say we have one very big company, okay, SME company, okay, or maybe multinational companies in Malaysia. So if they want to go to market their products to let's say Indonesia, they try to when we have the economic when we have the AEC agreement, means that they can try to look the potential partners in particular countries, in that particular countries. For example, let's say Indonesia. So that kinds of cooperation will be very easy. It will be easier when we have AEC, because we have the agreement, and then it will become more effective compared to G2G agreement, because when the agreement comes from the private sector, it will be fast compared to the governments, because you know that there is some regulations in terms of the government relationship, okay, that needs to be settled first. Okay, and then we try to come up with a resilient, inclusive, people-oriented, and people-centered ASEAN. Okay, means that when we set up the Asian Economic Community, we try to set up a people-oriented or people-centered ASEAN. Okay, so when we have this, maybe we can mobilize our labor from one country to another country. It becomes easier, okay, because of there is limited restrictions in terms of the rules and the regulations, okay, like what implemented in EU countries, okay. A global ASEAN means that we try to promote and boost the idea of global ASEAN. Okay, ASEAN go global. Okay, so means that the products of ASEAN now not just for ASEAN region, but it can go further than that. It can go forward. It can go maybe to Arab country and also European countries. Okay. Now we go to the challenges and the strategies to promoting ASEAN countries' economy. So when you look at this figure, what you can see the differences between of the populations from one countries to another countries in Asia. Okay, look at Malaysia, very quite small country, the green one, the olive color. Okay, so this is a Malaysia. So the biggest contributor in terms of the population, of course, Indonesia. Okay, look at the Indonesia. Very big country, very huge numbers of populations. followed by Philippines. Okay, now you can look at the purple color. This is the Philippines, and look at the Singapore. Okay, this one is Singapore, very small one. Okay, so we are different. Okay, actually, okay, we are different in terms of the size of populations. So enlargement increases the degree and complexity of diversities or in ASEAN, which has it can be weakened or will break up ASEAN, because we know that we are different. So the diversity in Southeast Asia exists and will continue to exist. We cannot deny this. Okay. Indonesia is not only a founding members of ASEAN, it is also the biggest contributor in terms of GDP, and is also one of the member states with positive trade balance. In addition, it has the highest numbers of inhabitants by far. Inhabitants means that the populations. Okay, so compared to Singapore, okay, Singapore is the smallest country. Okay, I think it is the smallest one. Okay, Brunei also very small. Okay, so we cannot compete in terms of the populations. Okay. So the questions now is how to enable the 500 million Southeast Asia in 10 different countries live peaceful together, and at the same time to develop mutual confidence, increase mutual beneficial economy relation, and advance common interests. So how may disparity or these differences be managed such that it become advantageous? Okay, so how we manage the difference so that the difference can become advantage for us in ASEAN. That is the challenge. Okay. Okay, in terms of the government challenges for businesses, ASEAN is the home to a wide variety of businesses, including a number of huge family-owned conglomerates and state-linked enterprise, okay, or the government-linked enterprise like Salim Group in Indonesia, government-linked company like Petronas in Malaysia, and also we have Vinamilk in Vietnam. So yet SMEs, enterprise together with micro entrepreneur, make up at least 89% of business activity in this region. So we know that we are in ASEAN, the dominant sector comes from SMEs. Okay. So the region's business environment is being harmed, can be harmed by entrenched interests with major agglomerates, as well as the pervasive corruptions. We know that corruptions can be very negative impact to the growth of SMEs, which is particularly harmful for the business, small businesses. So in order to transform ASEAN SME for the future, we must have certain strategies. So how technology innovative can benefit SMEs? So when we look at these figures or this image, we know that we try to efficiency employee management. Technologies also can streamline purchasing and inventory control, flexibility and efficiency in financial management, dedicated customer and sales management. Okay, so when you have innovations and technology, you know that you can go further. You can go beyond ASEAN. Okay, increase payment modes. You can use a variety of payments mode, digital payment. Okay, key business intelligence, incorporating data and insight. So to combat corruption and help the ASEAN region compete globally. Okay, it requires strong dependent institutions. Okay, the institution must be very strong. So the digital innovations like this, I also hope the same similar things, okay, would increase transparency and boost economic progress. So we hope that digital innovations will enable greater transparency and promote economic growth for future growing strategies for ASEAN SMEs. Okay, we hope that. Okay, so if we can collaborate each other, maybe you can use some kinds of technology to boost economics for both countries. Okay, so what we did similar to what we did now. Okay, I am in UUM, so you are in UMY Indonesia. So how we can collaborate by using technology? Okay, so it's quite similar to we sharing sessions using tech to promote collaborations between UUM and UMY, and at the same time, you know me, we know each other, and maybe we can collaborate more after this. Okay, this is the examples of how technology changed the education system. Okay, after the pandemic. Okay, inclusive growth and sustainable development. This is not only the challenge and strategies for ASEAN. This is also the challenge of all countries around the world. Okay, we cannot say that this is only focused for ASEAN, but in this discussion is focused on it is about ASEAN, but this is also the challenge for almost all developing countries in the world. Okay, how to make sure we can reach sustainable development, and at the same time we try to boost inclusive growth. Inclusive growth means that when we talk about the inclusive growth means that there is no one in the countries left behind. Everybody we can include in our growth projects or developments of the country. Okay, so ASEAN members states span a wide spectrum of economic level, ranging from Singapore GDP per capita of 57,000 to Cambodia only $1,000 in 2070s. You know that how the wide range of incomes level per capita. Okay, we know that Singapore is very high and then Cambodia is very low. Okay, in recent years, lower income states have made important gains. Okay, however, regional economic gains have fallen short of erasing significant differences among ASEAN member states. In the World Bank edition 2017, Global Findex show that while 98% of adults in Singapore and 85% in Malaysia had a bank account, but just 22% of Cambodian adults and 26% of Burmese adult did. So you can see how the huge difference between one single measurement, okay, which is a bank account. Okay, so from the data, from this data, you know that how the difference between people in Singapore and Malaysia and people in Cambodia and Burmese. Okay, so these disparities illustrate the need for broad, robust investment in infrastructure, financial institutions, and also the strategic planning. So you look at this data. Okay, this is the GDP per capita US dollar, the average annual growth percentage by ASEAN members 2020. So look at the Cambodia. This is a Cambodia. The economic growth average from 2000 to 2022, sorry, 2020 is about 8.7%. 8.7%. Okay. Indonesia also followed a similar pattern, 8.2%. So however, look at the per capita income for the people in Cambodia. So it is only reached 1,528 US dollar. Okay. Compared to Singapore, 59,000. So look at Malaysia. Okay, 3,000 in Indonesia. Malaysia 10,000. So this is the Brunei, 25,000. Okay. So when you look at this data, you know how the differences between one to another countries. Okay, look at the Myanmar. This is the Myanmar. The data comes from ASEAN stats database. Okay. So what is this good strategy to solve or to make sure that we can reduce the challenge? Okay, we can address this challenge. So what is the good strategies for ASEAN? Okay. Okay, as ASEAN leader, maybe they should be able to begin discuss about the feasibility of launching cross-country development project in order to accomplish the SDG target of no one left behind. Okay, maybe we can go to the cross-country development project, not just focus on one to another one's country's project. Okay, maybe we can start to think how we can beneficial each other. Okay, by using by make sure that the cross-country development can be feasible. Okay. So the conclusions: ASEAN must work hard to enhance the developments of good governance, inclusive growth, sustainable development, and democracy. So we are in ASEAN, we're not as strong as EU, we are also not as strong as G8, but we must work hard, okay, to achieve the targets. Okay, ASEAN also needs to work collaboratively rather than individually. We need to collaborate each other in team. Okay, in ASEAN, we have to think we are ASEAN people. We are not Malaysians, we are not Indonesian. We start to think about ASEAN people, the ideas of ASEAN people. ASEAN must support and embrace regionalism and multilateralism by constructively and genuinely working together to achieve common goals and realize the ASEAN community vision, such as ASEAN Economic Community. Okay, if you want to achieve common goal, for example, let's say the goal is to reduce poverty. SDG 1 is a no poverty, no one left behind, means that zero poverty. To achieve that goal, we have to collaborate each other. We have to support each other. Okay, maybe we can start to think about the collaborations of G to G, collaborations industry to industry, and collaborations to institutions to another institutions. Okay, that is the idea of collaborations in ASEAN level. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll also open the floor for the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zalina Zainal,
okay,
for your presentation. Okay, is there any question from students? Anyone? You can raise your hand.
You can raise your hand. You can ask me the question either in English or Indonesian's language. I think I can answer you, even though it is Indonesian language. Hopefully, Miss Saudara Fitri can help me to understand the terms of English, the terms of Indonesians, because it is Bahasa Melayu, I know, but sometimes it is different meaning between Malaysian and Indonesian. You know? Okay.
Okay, is there any question? You can ask using Indonesia or using English. You can ask using both of them. Anyone want to ask? Yeah, anyone?
If no one asks me, I will ask you something. Okay, you know that UMY and UUM, we have collaborations in terms of the student exchange, right? Student exchange mobility. So how's this program? I would like to ask the students, okay, how this program benefits in terms of the multicultural understanding between Malaysia and Indonesia. You know that we are dalam bahasa Melayu, we said that we are serumpun, you know, serumpun. We are quite similar in terms of the region, the race, and also the religions, but it must be something in terms of the multicultural. You know that we are in Malaysia, it is quite we are not as Indonesia, because I know that you have Chinese and Indian Indonesia. You have Chinese and also Indian Indonesia, but it is not as many as Chinese and Indian in Malaysia, right? So how the students benefits when you come to Malaysia? Maybe some of you you was in Malaysia before this. You were in Malaysia. So how this student exchange program can be benefits you in terms of understanding the multicultural society once, in terms of the understandings the education's aims or education's goals for both countries. Anyone would like to share with me?
Maybe Dafal or Fadia want to try to answer? Or any other? What can you get from the collaboration between the University Utara Malaysia and Malaya and UMY in terms of multicultural society, understanding the multicultural society and the education schools for both countries? Anyone want to try to answer? Nadia or Dafal or any other person? Anyone?
Anyone would like to try?
They were shy.
Yeah, I know. Quite similar to Malaysian students. You know, the students, they are similar. You know, even Malaysian students, Indonesian students.
You want to try to answer? No.
Anyone? Anyone to share, would like to share the experience? Maybe some of you already know Malaysia.
Anyone? Barik? Maybe Barik? Have you ever go to Malaysia? No, no one.
No one. Mereka malu, ah.
Yeah, maybe they were shy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, anyone would like to chat? Maybe you can ask your questions using the chat box.
You can, if you are shy, you can
I can answer
type,
the questions
through chat.
through the chat box.
Maybe I want to ask it.
Okay.
I have a question actually.
Okay.
So, you are telling us, present us about how the GDP of Malaysia has been dropped or has been fall since the pandemic in 2020, and the inflation rate. I see the inflation rate is quite small. I think if we compare it with Indonesia, as in Indonesia, for the usual rate of inflation is around 3 to 4%. So I see that in Malaysia it is just around 1 point something, or in the last before pandemic it is just 0.7% for the inflation. So how is the economic in Malaysia actually? My question is that, is it like, just a stable one, or it is growing but slowly? How is it, the economics in Malaysia? Because if in Indonesia it is around 3 to 4% the inflation rate for every year.
Okay. If you look at the data, actually the data comes from the basket of goods. Okay, the data come from, you know that the inflation rate, when we calculate for inflation rate, we calculate for the basket of goods. Okay, as an economic student, you should know this. It is a basket of goods. Okay, so in that basket, there are many types of goods and services that include in that basket. It can be, it becomes, for example, I say food products, transportations, services. Okay, also it also includes electricity and others. Okay, some of the goods or goods and services, it is quite stable. Okay, it is quite stable. For example, let's say the transportation costs, the services cost. Okay, this is quite stable. But if you look in deep, you look and you look in terms of the different categories of goods and services, you can see that there is a increasing trend for certain measurement, certain products, and it is stable for certain product. But when you calculate for the inflations, because it is the bundles of goods and services, you can see that the increasing or decreasing of that inflation rate is not much. Okay, for example, let's say now I think you can try to googling this in you can try Google this, googling the issues of food product in Malaysia. Right now we having a problems of low supplies of certain product, especially raw materials like chicken. Okay, kalau you if you Googles in Malaysians newspaper, you can see that there is problems of low supplies of chickens for several months before this, and it is still happens now. So because of this, it is increasing in certain product. Okay, oil product, a product that based on the fat, oil palm product also increase. We can see also increasing price in terms of chicken and others meat. Okay, because of the, you know that we also having problems of depreciating value of ringgit now. Okay, so because of the depreciates of ringgit, we also having problems in terms of the cost of imports. Okay, you know that in macroeconomics, you know that when you want to because of the depreciations of your values of money, of your value of ringgits, for example, or rupiah, the cost of import will be very high. Okay, so the productions of chicken in Malaysia, it is depends on the inputs that comes from the overseas, that come from foreign countries, especially for the inputs for the chickens. Okay, kalau dekat sini kita panggil makanan untuk ayam tu. Okay, the corns. Okay, the corns that you feed for the chicken, it comes from the foreign country. It's not produced 100% in Malaysia. Okay, so because of this, it is having increasing the input product, the input materials increase, and then it affects the final products of chicken. So this is what happens. So if you look at, when you look deep in certain categories of products or foods in the consumer price index, you can see that there is a difference. There is an increase and decreasing for certain value, for certain goods and services. Okay, but when you look at the bundles, it is quite stable. Okay, that is the reason why you look at why you see the inflation rate is in Malaysia is quite manageable. Okay, it's quite low compared to other countries.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zalina. Any other want to ask to Dr. Zalina? Anyone? Maybe I want to answer the question from you, Doctor, about the Multicultural Society. So, when I was in undergraduate student, I was an undergraduate student. I was when go to Malaysia actually, but it is like just a program actually, and I went to USIM, University Science Islam Malaya. At the time, yeah, it is in 2014, I guess. I forgot. Oh, it is not 2014 or it is 2015. I forgot it. And yeah, I think it's quite good that we have exchange. Actually, we can exchange our culture and we can learn from each other. And of course, it will help us to learn about how the multicultural society work. And we know that in Indonesia, we have a different groups of peoples. Maybe if in Malaysia there are three race, Malayu, and then Chinese and Indian. But in Indonesia, it is more complex, I think, because there is a Javanese and there is Sundanese, and then there is Sumatra, or we can say they were Malayu as well, and then there is Sulawesi or Papua and any other region, Kalimantan. So we are quite different, but yeah, there were Chinese as well, and there were Indian. So in terms of multicultural things, I guess that yeah, we were learning each other. We were learning with each other, and for education goals, actually it's quite different between Indonesia and Malaysia. As in Indonesia, some of people, I think that they were just using an education background just for looking jobs. So it is not, yeah, for the better knowledge or for the better future, but actually, yeah, it is just for the matter of like, yeah, I have a background in education. Even though I think that in Malaysia, some people do it as well. But I think, yeah, it's quite have a different background, or they have a different how can I say it? Different thing that drive them to do that or to have an education. So because of the different thing that drive them to education, so it will make a different goals for each other. I think
Okay.
that's what happened.
So how about the fresh graduates employability in Indonesia? It is if you graduate, for example, let's say if you graduate with the first degree, is it easier for you to get jobs compared to others, or you still having difficulty to get jobs?
Actually, if it is in Indonesia, it's still quite difficult if we do not have any experience in doing a job, because we were loose with the people who are entering the vocational school, because they will have a practical skill. They have practical skill, and then they were experiencing the real job. Then those who are graduated from universities, actually from the first graduate or other graduate, they were lack in experience and they were lack in practical skills. So actually, some people, it will be quite difficult if they will not have any experience, maybe in terms of teamwork or in terms of yeah, doing a job when they do not have any practical skill. So and in terms of unemployment as well in Indonesia, the most people, or the most, yeah, people that give the numbers to unemployment is the other graduates, the other graduates who
Okay,
are graduate
understood.
from yeah.
Okay, inshallah. I think there is no more questions from the floor.
Okay, any student want to ask? No or yes? No. Okay, if there are no any question, maybe we can conclude our lectures today. So yeah, of course, we can see that pandemic caused the second most crisis after 98 financial crisis. Yeah, but maybe it's quite similar between Malaysia and Indonesia. If in Malaysia, the most or the lead sector for GDP is in service sector, and then followed by manufacture. And yeah, it's quite similar with Indonesia, even though agriculture is the first one before, but now, yeah, it has been left. Yeah, so and we need an inclusive growth and sustainable development for all of the ASEAN countries, and then the governance has challenges for business, and uh, we can win from it using technology, like what happened today because of the pandemic, and then we use technology efficiently, more efficient than before.
Yeah.
And then there is an enlargement and increase of the people, the inhabitants in ASEAN, especially in Indonesia. It is the most numbers of people in ASEAN countries, and yeah, we have to help each other actually. And then by using AEC or ASEAN Economic Community,
Yes.
it will give us the single market and production base, and then there is a competitive economic region, equitable economic development, and fully integrated region in the global economy. Okay, maybe that's all our discussion today, our lectures today. And for the students in IPF, please sign in your attendance in my class. Don't forget, and it had been open till 3 o'clock. Okay, then thank you, Dr. Zalina Zainal, for your time, for giving us the opportunity to learn from you. today. And thank you for your coming for all of the students. Let's close our class by reciting Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Okay, subhanakallahumma bihamdika nasyhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Okay, thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. So thank you very much. Hopefully you get something, you get new inputs from me. Inshallah, we will collaborate each other next time, inshallah.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Dr.
Thank
Zainal.
you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much.